Welcome to Oregon News. I'm Nick Cody. This term, I've been giving you an inside look into the Ducks football program. For our first story, Carson York tells us about the injury that changed his offseason when he suffered an ACL tear in the 2012 Rose Bowl.
As the Ducks football team heads into their offseason workouts, offensive guard Carson York finds himself crutching on the road to recovery. The 3-year starter tore his patellar tendon in his right knee trying to make a tackle after an interception during the team's Rose Bowl victory.
I thought, I'm going to make this tackle. And I sort of had an angle to cut him off. And then he cut back right at me. And so I tried to plant off my right leg to sort of come back at him. And when I planted, I just felt like my knee exploded. And so all I really remember is this like white light of like pain. And I've watched the replay, and apparently I make the tackle, but I have no recollection of it. All I remember is like this massive explosion in my knee.
During York's already difficult 6-month rehabilitation, the senior-to-be must find time to balance treatments and workouts while also working toward a master's in communication and society.
Yeah, I missed the first week of school. I actually Skyped into my class, most of my classes, so it wasn't that bad. But I think I'm glad that I'm in grad school. So if I was in like a lecture hall, it'd be just so difficult to keep up with, especially the fact that I have to have my knee propped up, and so being in a small environment's really nice.
With the aid of Oregon's top-of-the-line treatment center, York hopes to make a full recovery by the summer so that he may join his teammates on the field for the Ducks' 2012 season.
Guys look to you for answers, and you try to provide them for them. And so, I want to get back and get involved and, provide that for the team.
For Oregon News, I'm Nick Cody.
For our second story, we take a look at an unsung hero of the Ducks football program, graduate assistant coach Gregg Austin. Graduate assistant coach Gregg Austin spends hours in the offseason analyzing film, creating cut-ups, and working with developing young players. During the season, he is tasked with getting Oregon's reserve players to emulate the upcoming opponent's defense. Despite the long, thankless hours put in, Coach G is thankful to have the opportunity to rejoin the sport that helped shape his own life.
Not only is football a game of you have to be tough, you have to be smart, and you have to have, a selfless attitude, but it's a game that will mature individuals, and that's the part I love about my job.
As a college player, Austin was the 5th true freshman in Nebraska history to play along the offensive line. In his first year, he suffered a career-altering knee injury. He went on to earn a starting role as a junior and senior, even though at one point his coach suggested that Austin quit the game of football and become a student assistant coach.
You'll still be around, still have access to everything else, but we want you to be a student coach. But I didn't want to be a student coach. I was like, I have another year eligibility, and I was like, even me hurt, I said I'm still better than these cats.
Instead, Austin finished out his senior year and received individual recognition for his academic and athletic accomplishments. After his last game, the 2007 Cotton Bowl, Austin decided to go to Central Florida to get his master's in sports management and his MBA. Prior to coming to Oregon, he was working as an event manager for Disney's Wide World of Sports in Orlando.
Just being around people in business and people that, people that talked about the game that really didn't know what they were talking about, it kind of made me mad, and it also helped me realize what my passion was. And that's what led me back to football.
In order to get back into coaching, he contacted Oregon Assistant Athletic Director James Harris, who was his nutritionist during his time at Nebraska.
He said he wanted to leave the corporate world and be a football coach. Initially, I wanted to talk him out of it. I'm like, no, you have everything set up. Why would you want to be a football coach? But he said that was his passion, that's what he loved, and he didn't care about money. He cared about helping young men. And I said, that's the exact type of person we needed in this program.
Despite turning down different job opportunities and larger paychecks, Austin insists that he has even more pride in his coaching successes than his individual accomplishments. He explains that nothing he experienced as a player or as a businessman was quite like being a coach for the 2012 Rose Bowl champions.
Intrinsically, I've enjoyed those wins and that success a lot more than I had as an individual playing on the team at Nebraska. You feel accomplished as a player for getting certain awards, but us winning the Rose Bowl, that was one of the funnest moments I've ever had on the football field.
For Oregon News, I'm Nick Cody. For our last story, we had an exclusive sit-down interview with Oregon head coach Chip Kelly. We talked to him about the transition from becoming an offensive coordinator to a head coach, about his win the day mantra, and about Oregon players and how they win the day.
Soli waits for the snap, got it, gonna hand it off. Blunt's gonna go right, big hole, 20, jumps over man at the 15, got his feet, 10, 5, oh baby, touchdown again, Blunt! Here's your ball game! There's your ball game! ESPN Blunt! ESPN!
The 2008 Holiday Bowl victory was Mike Bellotti's last game as the Ducks head coach. Despite the coaching change, the Ducks have found that their keys to success haven't altered.
Like anything, the best advice I got from Coach Bellotti was to be yourself, that when he took over for Coach Brooks, he didn't exactly do everything the way Coach Brooks did. And then when I took over for him, I didn't do things exactly the way he did. But there's a lot of things that Coach Bellotti did here in the past that we still have in place.
Before coming to Oregon as an offensive coordinator in 2007, Coach Kelly had become familiar with college towns during his coaching career, but none with an atmosphere quite like Eugene.
You walk down the street and everybody's wearing a sweatshirt or a T-shirt or a hat, and you go to the store and everybody's got a sweatshirt or a T-shirt or a hat, and that part, kind of. And I've been in other college towns and it's not like that. I think the passion and the support and how much everybody really genuinely cares about this university was a thing that was, extremely evident to me.
Before joining the Ducks staff, Kelly acknowledged the long-term success of the football program.
I looked at Oregon as a top program, when I was coaching at a different school. I never looked at Oregon and say, hey, one day I think they're going to be pretty good. I thought they were pretty good, and in my first year here, we rose all the way to number 2 in the country. They went to, I think, number 2 in the country in the Fiesta Bowl when Joey Harrington was here, and I remember watching that game on New Year's Day. So, I've always considered, I knew from being a coach that teams go up and teams goes down, but, I don't remember the exact number, but they've been to bowl games in 17 out of 18 years. So, again, that's a tough thing to do, and to win consistently at the college level on the field of play is a difficult thing to do, and I always thought Oregon was one of those teams that always did that, so I lumped them in with the USCs and the Alabamas and the Michigans of the world.
And Kelly believes that consistency is paramount in remaining an elite program.
I think the one thing about this place that makes it so successful is the fact that we don't change. Us in the United States Military Academy at West Point are the only 2 schools in the country that haven't had a coaching change in the last 3 years. So when I look around and everybody says things are changing, there's 4 brand new head coaches in our league. Every other program's had 4 or 5 assistant coaches leave, but the same coaches that were here 3 years ago when we played against Boise State in the opener are still here today. I think when a lot of things change, maybe cosmetically things change. If people want to ask me what changes at Oregon, I'll say our uniforms change. But I think how we do things and really the guts of it, the staff that we have here, that part hasn't changed. And I think that's one of the real keys to our success.
And that success has led to 3 consecutive BCS Bowl berths. In 2010, the Ducks offense averaged over 46 points per game, with an average margin of victory of nearly 31 points, resulting in an undefeated season and an appearance in the 2011 National Championship game against Auburn University. But holding true to his philosophy, win the day, Coach Kelly never overlooked any opponent.
In 2010 we went undefeated in the regular season, but until those last seconds ticked off the clock in the last game up in Corvallis, you never really think of, hey, we're going to run the table here.
For the snap. No, it's a fake. Oregon runs it first down up the middle, 40, near midfield, 45, 40, 30, inside of the 30 to the 25, on the 20-yard line, inside of the 15, and finally out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. They'll mark it at the 10.
While Coach Kelly has maintained his staff over the last 3 years, the expectations of his players have changed. Since taking over, his mantra, win the day, has held players to higher standards on and off the field.
We feel like what we've done has been successful, and we've proven that. But the biggest and the toughest challenge for us is can we continue to do that? And that's what I think our players have to understand. We've always said this since I've been here. The football stuff will take care of itself, and you can look at your record and indicate, that we're doing things well from a football standpoint. But there's so much more to winning the day than just winning games on the football field. And it's really about what we're doing in the classroom, what we're doing in the community, and those are the things that validate it for me. I got a nice note from a lifelong Beaver fan that won an award at the Oregon Sports Award, and how Kenyon Barner went out of his way to seek seek the gentleman out and congratulate him on his award. And the guy was kind of blown away by what a remarkable young man that Kenyon was. And that stuff is what's really important to us. And those are the things that I talk about in our team meetings, and get a chance to read emails from people that met Mark Asper walking down the street. You know, I got a note from a lady once that had a nice Oregon ornament on her house, and that Mark Asper was walking down the street, noticed it, and dropped the note off in her mailbox thanking her for his support. Those are the things that I think validate kind of what we're doing. I think we've just done a better job of emphasizing that it's a process, and that, you know, I think there was too much talk in a lot of programs about let's be Rose Bowl champions, Pac-10 champions, all those other things, but they lose sight of how to get there. And our whole deal is the process, and the process is taking care of what you can control, and what you can control is what goes on today, not where are we going to be next January, but what goes on today, and do I have the opportunity to be successful today in everything I do, both on the field, in the classroom, in the community, and that all goes hand in hand. And you just can't have a successful day from a football standpoint, but a non-successful day academically or socially, because it all factors into did you win the day or lose the day.
For Oregon News, thank you for watching. I'm Nick Cody.